B'Shem HaShem na'aseh v'natzliach, Shiur Torah, Bruchim Habayim, all the new faces, old faces, Yishtabach Shemo, always good to see everyone. We're starting a new week. Today's shiur will be Refuah Shlema for Levana Bat Sarah, David Ben Esriya, Doris Bat Jora, Serach Bat Batya, Batya Bat Sarah, Dvorah Bat Mercedes, Esther Bat Tzipora, and all of Am Yisrael Bezrat Hashem will have Refuah Shlema, Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf. So a little bit of updates. Last week we publicized that a couple of things. One is the new Megillat Esther, new Be'ezrat Hashem Megillat Esther. I have to tell you, even though it's really our production, I still have to compliment ourselves. It really came out beautiful. We gave out, Baruch Hashem, a bunch of them in Eretz Yisrael, and then we shipped a bunch of them out to California, to Atlanta, to New York, a few places, and a few other places I can't remember, on Friday. So Be'ezrat Hashem, they'll arrive there on Monday. All we have left is just a couple of hundred, maybe 300 left in my car for whoever wants to give out to their community, no more than 10 per kila. Because we want to reach, we're obviously not going to feed any one particular kila. This is just to get a taste of some of the work that we do, Baruch Hashem. 10 per kila. It's a really nice one. It has on one side, it has the Hebrew with some nice drawings and so on. You can see it online. I'm just looking at it, pretending like you guys are seeing it. And then on the other side, we have the English. We have the English for anyone that actually wants to understand what they're reading. You know, there's a lot of people go to the Megillat Esther and they listen, which is good. It's an obligation to listen, but they didn't do the homework before and they didn't read it before, so they just listen, but they don't have a clue what he's saying. So it's a really, it'll behoove you to read it before the actual holiday, so you actually know what's going on. Now, as far as the this, again, at the end of the shiur, whoever wants to give them out in their kila, please do, but there is one requirement. One I already told you is the 10 per kila. Don't just drop it off somewhere and think like you did Kiruv, you put 50 somewhere and you did a mitzvah. You didn't do a mitzvah at all. Say if you want to take some, please let me know. If not, we'll give them out. It's very easy to give them out. The few people that we've already given them to wanted more, but I told them that we're trying to reserve some for some other places. The other requirement is that you have to put one of these cards inside the Megillah. I didn't have the time to do it myself, plus I figured I'd give you guys some work, some slave labor, some really hard work. Put one of these cards in it, so this also will get people to hopefully do tshuva too. Once they watch, this is the movie card that we've been sending out all over the place. You go, one side is the movie poster, the other side is the QRC code. You scan it with your phone, it goes directly to our YouTube link of the movie about personal story, tshuva, why are we doing what we're doing, and so on. This movie, Baruch Hashem, has already hit about 200,000 households around the world. Every single day we're getting new people that are telling us that it's moved them, it helped them do tshuva, it helped them get chizuk. Just today I got a few new emails from people. One particular guy is a very famous artist in Eretz Yisrael, was very moved by the movie, and there's many people that you've never heard of, but Baruch Hashem are getting closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu because of this movie. So when you're giving out this Megillah, you're also giving people an opportunity to do tshuva, to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and hopefully come join us for this shiur if they're local. So that's the second thing. So if you don't have the cards, take some. I have some of those. I brought a whole carton of them in the car. Take some, give them with the Megillot, give some extra even without it, and Be'ezrat Hashem, help Am Yisrael get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because to cut to the chase, that's really the only cure. That's really the only cure we have for the current situation that we have in the world today. Now, the situation is this. We spoke about it already once or twice in the last couple of weeks. We spoke about it a little bit in New York. We spoke about it a little bit today. But it seems like every day En bait en bomit. Every day there's new discoveries, more dead people, more sick people, and more information that makes it scarier than before about what's happening with this coronavirus. Now, to be honest with you, I'm not really scared of the coronavirus itself. And I don't necessarily think that people should either. I don't think that people should go crazy buying masks, buying 100 cartons of water and beans or something, which makes a nice recipe for your stomach. I don't think you need to go crazy in regards to that. What I'm concerned with is government. How the government is going to react to certain things and how they are reacting to it. The government sometimes is much more dangerous than the guns that they allow or don't allow. A lot more dangerous than the war they fight or don't fight. And the way the government is actually reacting to it is different around the world. In China, initially they hid it. They hid it from people because they already had research from Wuhan, from the scientists in Wuhan a year and a half ago about this virus, and they ignored it even though it was a published paper. There are many published papers in the scientific world that get ignored every single day, but everything that we know about this particular disease is actually already published in this paper. If somebody could open the door, so let the young lady that's out there know that we're actually inside. Yes. So everything that we pretty much know about the coronavirus pretty much was already published a year and a half ago. Now, after it came out to the public, initially the Chinese, and they still are lying about the numbers, how many people are infected, how many people died. If it wasn't for every single person becoming a cameraman, we would still think there's only 300 people dead. But in reality, you're getting new videos every day of just people simply walking like regular people, looking like regular people, and just falling dead in the middle of the street. Or other sick people, mentally sick people, that are trying to infect other people, that go into elevators and other public transportation and intentionally coughing and spitting on the walls and on railways and different things, intentionally to put their germs so other people get infected. So you're seeing that there's a sickness on both sides, mentally sick, physically sick, and both. And that's in China. Now, if that's not enough, they have gone to the point where they've closed down some cities, and even within those cities, aside from the public spraying of the streets and things of that nature, they're also gone to the point where they're simply going to certain buildings. They found out that one of the babies in the house coughed one time. Somebody said coughed. Sometimes he didn't even cough. It's just that the neighbor doesn't like him. He calls the government. They go to the house. They pretty much board the house. They lock everybody in. How are you going to live? Who knows? Pretty much starving them to death. Why? Because maybe this baby's going to cough on a neighbor, on somebody else, and you're going to get somebody else sick, so they have no value for life whatsoever. In China, there's zero value for life. There's zero value for life of animals or people. It's the same thing to them. The only thing they have value for is for money. That they love. They love money. They worship money. Even though they have other statues and so on, the whole thing is about money. I know I deal with Chinese people on a regular basis in the business world, and I could tell you that money for them is God. So it's really the only reason why the Chinese billionaire that publicized a lot of this stuff, he didn't get killed, because he has a lot of money. Otherwise, if some average Joe publicizes something, they kill him on the spot, or he just goes missing incidentally. So that's China. Iran, Baruch Hashem, is also getting the virus, and they're the second most infected place in the world. That's the reason, because they get a lot of weapons and different machinery from China, so they don't close the border, so they're infected over there. B'ezrat Hashem, all of the wicked people over there will have the corona and not a cure. They have some people in Italy. Italy is the third most infected place. Baruch Hashem, today they announced that the Vatican has decided to shut down their doors. So Baruch Hashem, for a little while, we're going to have less Avodah Zarah in the world. So that's also good news. Now, what's the bad news? Bad news is there's also Jews in many of these places, and there's also Jews in the other places that are getting corona. For example, right now there is between 25 and 40 confirmed cases in Israel. One of them is about an hour walk or maybe about 5-10 minute drive from Rabbi Ephraim's house in Yerushalayim. So there are people in Eretz Yisrael that have the coronavirus, HaShem Yerachem. There are also people in the United States. The numbers keep going higher. There's a Jewish family in New York that has it. The whole family has it, and one of the people in the family traveled here to Florida. While he had it, and obviously didn't know he had it. And the stupid news or the politicians behind it saying, no, he went to Florida, but he promised us he didn't shake anybody's hand while he was there. Yeah. He promised us he didn't cough either. He promised us he barely was even breathing. He was holding his breath for like a week. It's like, I mean, you have to be clever to realize that their typical stupidity is stupidity. But now you don't have to be clever. You can be half retarded and still figure out this doesn't make any sense. What do you mean he didn't cough? He didn't sneeze? What do you mean? He went to a different place just like anybody else. So the point is, you cannot rely on the news for anything. You can't rely on the news. You can't rely on the politicians. And part of the reason is because they're doing their job, and their job is to make sure you don't panic. That's really their job. If they told you the real truth, you'd panic, and that's the truth. Now, this is all over the place, and it's going to continue being all over the place until HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides not to. Just like SARS and other epidemics that have hit the world in the past, HaKadosh Baruch Hu simply decided to stop it. One of the reasons why the Gemara in Masechet Chagigah, page 12a, says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu originally started the world where He was the only thing in it, and then He took a point, in essence He minimized Himself, took a point and expanded it, in essence created the whole universe. This is similar to what the scientists say in the world, the Big Bang, but only difference is the Big Bang, they say started from nothing. Here the Torah says the Big Bang started from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So He minimized Himself because He was the only thing in the world. There was a point, He continued expanding it until He told it, die, stop. He roared and the whole world stopped expanding. And that's why His name is El Shakai. El and the word die, it says, meaning that it's the God that said die, the God that said stop. So the scientists in the world, sometimes they come up close to the truth but still live a life of falsehood because they don't want the truth. And unfortunately there are many people like that in the world, that no matter what, yeah, you can open it, it's okay, we won't bite. Huh? Ladies? In the back. Then the same thing, same entrance in the back, we don't have a second entrance. Like, sorry, but we'll get there. We'll eventually get there. It's good mitzvot. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one that created the world from nothing and told it to stop. Now the scientists are going to tell you, no, the world is continuing to expand. Why? What are they basing it on? They're basing it on the past. Because it expanded, therefore it's expanding. Because no one is alive long enough to see the world expanding. But they're assuming because it expanded, therefore it's expanding. So it's a ridiculous thing, but nonetheless, that's what the science world based itself on. And the reason for that is not because they're stupid, but rather because they choose to be. They choose to ignore the truth. And unfortunately, there are many people in the world today that choose to ignore the truth. You show them every proof in the world and they still ask you more questions. Why? Just to see. Maybe you don't have a source for one of the 15 proofs you provided them. Maybe there's no source to one of them, so the other 14 are not valid. There are a lot of people like this, unfortunately, in the world. Now, continuing on with what's going on with this coronavirus, Hashem Yishmor V'Yatzil, is one of those things where Kadosh Baruch Hu is trying to teach us some musal. He's trying to teach us some things in order to get us to a point of desperation, so we cry to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we're sorry, we'll do better. How do I know? It says it in the Torah 1.5 million times. It says it in the Torah, all of the prophets came, every single one of them had one job. That job is to rebuke Am Yisrael, to tell them to do tshuva. That's the point of every prophet. Now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made sure to bring every prophet to a different city. Because there's a klal that Abarbanel says, En Navi Baleiro, that there is no prophet goes back to his own city. So all of the prophets, you'll notice, they all went to different cities to rebuke them. And the reason why is because if a prophet went back to his own hometown, the people would remember him as if before he became a prophet. So they're not going to listen to him. So for example, people always tell me, how come you don't live in New York anymore? I lived in New York most of my life. And when I come to New York, there's 400 or 500 people show up to shiurim. It's much more than here. How come I don't go back over there? I said, because if I lived in New York, 3 people would show up. But because I live in Florida, a lot of people show up. Same thing, same concept here. Over here, there's 6 people. Why? Because I live here. The reality is, Rabotai Kareem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, make sure that he sends a prophet to a strange city. Why? Because once you see a prophet a certain way, it's the first impression you have of him, you're going to pay attention to his words, and that's really the whole point. Now, each one of these prophets, it was very important for Am Yisrael to listen to the message. Why? Because if they didn't listen to the message, punishment would follow. Because that's the last reserve. That's the last shot. Unfortunately, we're Am Kshe Oref, we're a difficult nation, we're a stubborn nation. We didn't listen many times. We sometimes even killed the prophets. Actually, every one of them we killed, with the exception of Moshe Rabbeinu. And that's only because HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't allow it. If it was up to Am Yisrael, they would have killed Moshe Rabbeinu also. And unfortunately, the punishment followed. Now, why am I telling you all of this? Because we can learn from this. We can learn from this. We don't have prophets anymore. We don't have prophets. But prophecy comes from the world of speaking. Nevuah comes from the word to speak. So the speakers of today that tell the truth are in essence the prophets of the day. Even though they don't speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't speak to them, in essence he speaks through their mouth. If they're looking to help Am Yisrael do tshuva, HaShem will put words in their mouth. Now, the key is to understand that some of the message is going to be pleasant to hear. Some of the message not so pleasant. Either way, you take both. And the reason why is because this is being said in order to help you. In order to help the person that's speaking it, in order to help the people that are listening to it. That's the whole key. But sometimes there are certain people that they're not looking for the truth. They're looking for whatever's convenient for them. So they'll pick and choose what they listen to. So you tell them, listen, a pagama blit is not allowed. Does everybody think that? Yes, everybody thinks that. Is there a machloket on the issue? No, not really, except when it comes to goyim, whether it's a karet for them also, it's just disgusting. Oh, so maybe I want to be like a goy. No, you cannot be a goy, you're already a Jew. Oh, but maybe somebody else that you don't know about said it also. Point is, listen, you want to play with your life? Go ahead, go do what you want. Go do what you want. You want to play with your life? Go do what you want. Sometimes people are going to ask you, wait, but what about if maybe somebody said that it's allowed technically to do such and such, even though there's 20 people that said not allowed, but there's one that said it's allowed. Maybe I should go with that one. You're not allowed to go with that one, even if you found one. Why? Gemara Masechet Rosh Hashanah says someone that goes with the leniencies of Bet Shammai and the leniencies of Bet Hillel, Rasha'u, is wicked. Don't look for leniencies. Don't look for chumras either. Don't look for stringencies either. Someone that goes with the stringencies of Bet Shammai and the stringencies of Bet Hillel is a fool, is a blind fool. Meaning you're not supposed to look for only stringencies, and you're not supposed to only look for leniencies. Look for the emet. What does the Posek Ador say? What does the main poskim say? That's it, finished. Don't look for the one guy that's going to give you a leniency to be a rasha. Don't look for that. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not looking for that. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is looking for people that are going to live the emet. But sometimes people are looking to make their own emet. And this creates a lot of problems. Problems in Keilot, problems with Shlom Bayit, problems with a lot of different places. You have, for example, the husband wants to be Rabbi Akiva, but the wife wants to be Izevel. Or vice versa. She wants to be Sarai Menu, but he wants to be Korach, wants to make a new mitzvah. Don't do that. Have one Rav for the family, everybody goes by him. That's it, finished. No, but I like my Rav. You like your Rav, good for you. So hopefully your husband likes your Rav also. If he doesn't like your Rav, you have to go with his Rav. You can't have two different Rabbanim. Why? Because it becomes a problem. Becomes a problem. Unless the husband doesn't mind that the wife has a different Rav, and the Rav understands the complication here, and he understands that the other Rav sometimes has a different opinion on certain things. But that's playing with fire, Rabotai. It's playing with fire. There's just no need. Baruch Hashem, there's plenty of Torah in the world, there's plenty of good Rabbanim in the world that could direct you, but you have to make sure that you want the emet. If a person is looking for the emet, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bring it straight to your door. If you're looking for sheker, I'll bring that straight to your door also. And that's why people always ask, how come there's certain people that are speakers, we've spoken against them in the past, they have so many followers, they have so many people, how come Hashem allows it? Hashem allows people to listen to those speakers because they were looking for that. The people that follow the Friedmans and the Goldbergs of the world, they're not victims. They're not victims. They wanted the shekel. They wanted the shekel, I promise you. I lived in Boca Raton. I saw the Keilah over there. There's a few of them over there that are really good people. They don't use Goldberg as their rabbi. They have a real rabbi. But the people that use him as a real rabbi, they want it. Why? Because they want to live a life full of shekel where every Shabbat there's 300 cars filling the parking lot and leaving the parking lot. They want it. Why? Because they're the ones that are driving. And he doesn't say anything. He tells them that you can even bring a missionary to the shul. No problem. They like it like that. Same thing with the other Reshaim in the world. People that are looking for lies, get a liar as a speaker. Where do we see? We see in the Gemara in many places. Gemara Masechet Moed Katan, Masechet Shabbat says, "Abali ter mesaim biyado, abali tameh potrim lo." Someone that comes to become purified, wants to be a ish kodesh, isha kedosha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives them a hand. Someone who wants to be a liar, lives a life of liars, HaKadosh Baruch Hu opens the door for him. He goes, here's a bunch of liars. Here's a bunch of liars. Now, unfortunately, sometimes the Satan has superpowers, more than usual. He makes somebody look kosher when he's really a filthy liar. He makes somebody look kosher, he says kosher things, but the guy is a filthy liar. Just last week, a few days ago, I got probably one of the most shocking news I've heard maybe in my life about a certain rabbi. I'm not going to say the name. Don't worry, you'll find out the name soon. That speaks strong musar. He's in Eretz Yisrael. Speaks the way he speaks. I don't listen to many shiurim, but the few clips I've heard of him, he speaks strong. Strong. Not like half strong, strong. And they have him on camera. You can't even say this is not him. They have him on camera. There's maybe 40, 50, maybe somebody told me there's maybe 80 different videotapes of this guy doing all types of filthy, disgusting things in his yeshiva with little boys. HaShem Yishmor V'Yatzil. You hear the guy speak. Wow, I got chizuk. You see this video, you don't even know if you want to be Jewish anymore. You want to run away, you want to go into an island, hide by yourself. You with the Chumash, Yishtabach Shemor, that's it, finished. I don't want to know anybody. You can't trust anyone. This is why my Rav told me something. My Rav told me a long time ago. Here's a rule. Do not honor any particular person. Honor his actions. If his actions are good, honor his actions. His actions are no good, what are you honoring for? That means that you're never going to be connected to one particular person and start idolizing him like some people do in different keilot. Whether they're idolizing the Lubavitcher Rebbe or Rabbi Nachman of Breslev or the Baal Shem Tov or even Moshe Rabbeinu. You're not allowed to idolize people. Idolize their actions. We are supposed to connect to their actions. If the person is good, you serve, you do what you got to do. You help him with money, you help him with places, you help him whatever you can. Why? His actions are good. He speaks good, he does good. Baruch Hashem. That's a Ish Kodesh. But if he ever changes, it's easy to leave. Why? You never idolize the guy. And you're not getting weak off of his actions. Why? Okay, he changed. He has a Yetzirah, I have a Yetzirah, you have a Yetzirah, his actions change. I'm no longer connected to this guy. Don't make Judaism about the Jew. Make it about the Torah. Make sure it's about the Torah. It's not about the individuals, because sometimes you're going to see some big people do horrible things. And it's happened. It's happened throughout history. It's not a first time, it's not a last time. People think when they visualize Esav, they visualize Esav like a gangster. You know, you teach little kids about Esav, he looks like he's a gangster. In reality, Esav, if he came to the world today, he'd be Gdol Adol. The way he looked, long beard, payas, the whole thing. And he knew a lot of Torah. His father was Gdol Adol, Yitzchak Avinu. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, "Et Esav saneti," I hate Esav. Why? He knew the truth and he still went against it. People think that Korach was a Avaryan, was some type of criminal. Korach was a Navi. Korach was a prophet, spoke to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You go try to speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, see if he answers you. Korach was a Navi. Korach saw b'nevuah, in prophecy, that Shmuel will come out of him. That's why he thought he's going to win the battle with Moshe Rabbeinu. He didn't realize that his 3 sons are going to do tshuva in last minute. He didn't realize it. But Korach knew a lot of Torah, gave a lot of tzedakah. Gemara Masechet Shabbat says that's one of the reasons why Korach had 250 of the Gedolei Hador follow him. Why? He gave them a lot of money. So their opinion started changing. When the time he said, let's go against Moshe Rabbeinu, they were already bought and paid for. So it's very important you never ever follow the person, follow the actions. Because if you follow people, unfortunately, Rabotai, we're in the end of days, there's not that much time left. Year, 2 years, 5 years, 5 days. I have no idea how much time, don't quote me on time. But obviously the things are getting hot. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is closing the store, which means that a lot of crazy stuff is going to happen. Rabbis that look really good all of a sudden become the worst people on earth. Leaders that say one thing all of a sudden say something else. A lot of people are celebrating that Bibi Netanyahu won the election last week. There's a very good chance that this Amalek, Avigdor, and his friend Benny Gantz, they're going to be partners with Bibi. Why? He needs a couple of more people for government. He's a politician, Rabotai. He's a politician. He's not a Jew. He's a politician first. He cares less about religion. He did whatever he did before the elections to get votes. Now he needs an extra couple. He'll sell his mother if he has to. He's a politician. Anyone that has a shiur Torah every Tuesday about Tanakh, but is a mechalel Shabbat, obviously shows you what he believes. He doesn't believe what he's reading. People are putting all their money on, Bibi won, Bibi, like we won, like it's Moshe Rabbeinu. Some idiot say, Bibi, Mashiach ben David. HaShem Yishmor v'Yatzid, if that's Mashiach. Become a Buddhist, I think it's better. Rabotai, never trust a person. Never trust a person. Why? People are going to let you down. Actions. Now, the situation in Eretz Yisrael is not getting any prettier either. The El Al announced a week ago that if they don't get $220 million within the next couple of weeks, they're going to go bankrupt. It's not like America, where if one airline goes down, there's 15 other ones to replace them and a bunch of businessmen to buy new ones. That most likely means that Israel is going to give them the money, but the reality is there's nowhere to travel. Why? Because they're closing the borders everywhere. And that leads me to the first point. First point is, in regards to this coronavirus, I'm not necessarily so much worried about the actual virus itself. I'm worried about the government, what they're going to do. This means, Rabotai, that you should think twice and 3 times, especially if you're a family man or a family woman, before you travel anywhere. Why? Because there's a good chance they're not going to let you back. Not because you're sick, but because maybe somebody's sick. Maybe. So, and it doesn't matter where you're going. It doesn't matter. You don't have to go all the way to Eretz Yisrael or to China or Tokyo. You go to New York and somebody over there coughed. That's it. Plain in a special bubble for the next 3 months. Now, if you have a family, that's not exactly a good way to spend Pesach. It's not a good way to spend your holidays. So you have to think twice before you travel. So this is something critical. Why? Because right now everybody's panicking as far as the government, because for the right reason. Because they want to contain it to a certain extent. But they're doing certain things a little bit too much because they have no feelings and they care less about who, what, when, and how, and even if things make sense. So as far as traveling, I personally am not going to travel. Don't ask me to come anywhere. Don't ask me to go anywhere. I'm lucky I'm allowed to come here. Be'emet, seriously, family, kids, you have to be careful because remember, Rabotai, even though we're all Jews and Baruch HaShem, we're allowed to live in America and speak freely. I could make fun of the president. I could make fun of their religion. I could do whatever I want because the law allows me to do it. At the end of the day, this is still Edom. Before the end of times, before Mashiach comes, America is not going to be the America you know it. We're not home. No Jew is home. I don't care if you call yourself American. You're not home. Even if you don't keep any Torah and mitzvot, you're not home. America is not home. by any stretch of the imagination. We live here, Baruch Hashem, because the Kadosh Baruch Hu allows us to live here, just like He allowed us to live in Germany, just like He allowed us to live in Spain, just like He allowed us to live in Iraq, in Bavel, just like He allowed us to live in Egypt, and a lot of other places. Until He doesn't allow it. Which means that things can change in an instant. Just a few hours ago, I got a message from one of my Talmidim in Los Angeles, told me that attacks are back with the black people trying to kill Jews. Not good black people, the black type, the bad types. So some guy full of tattoos all over his face decided to just pick on a bunch of Jews and start killing them. In the middle of Los Angeles, there's Atzala everywhere. I don't know if it's on the news or not, I don't watch the news, but apparently there is a lot of damage in Los Angeles right now, in plain Dane sight. It wasn't like he caught him in the corner like they were doing in New York. And started cursing Jews. Mamash, Amalek. Shows HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to get our attention. There's something wrong in the water. We've been living here in peace for 70 years straight. No problems. All of a sudden the black people want to kill us. For what? What do we do to them? What do we do to them? Many of them, Baruch Hashem, are converting to Judaism. Obviously, we welcome black people. Many of them we do business with. Obviously, we have no problems with them. If anything, they should connect to us more than anybody else. We didn't make them slaves like the Americans did. We didn't go torture them like the Americans did. But no, dafka, they go against us. Why? Because it's not supposed to make sense. It's a Kadosh Baruch Hu putting junk in people's head to say, no, that Jew, go. It's like robots. So don't start becoming racist because of what's going on. It has nothing to do with race. It has to do with a Kadosh Baruch Hu. A Kadosh Baruch Hu is making certain people do certain things. And trust me if I told you, if it wasn't the black people, it would be a bunch of Muslims. Wait till a Kadosh Baruch Hu wakes up the Muslims in this country. HaShem Yishmo v'yatzil. The Muslims have camps inside America already for years. Probably for almost 20, 25 years I've known about this. They have camps, terrorist camps inside America, where they train terrorists in those places, and the FBI knows about it. But they have no permission to go inside, but they have footage and everything. There's also concentration camps in America, in case you don't know. Places where they have nice places ready for a few million people to join. Lots of wonderful things are in Edom. So don't feel at home. On the other hand, don't panic either. This is all old information. It's new to you, but it's old information. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is only going to allow the button to turn on when He chooses to. So when it comes to all of this chaos that we talk about, this is not to make anyone panic and think that if they're going to go on a one-way ticket to Eretz Yisrael, they're going to be saved. Because over there's also balagan. Over there's also problems. The only thing that's going to help us, Rabotai, is understanding the source of the problems. Now, the Prophet Yechezkel is known among all of the nations as the prophet who resurrected the dead, meaning the resurrection of the dead happened a couple of times in history already. There's one at the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, where Am Yisrael was at Mount Sinai, and every time HaKadosh Baruch Hu said the dibra, the commandment, the holiness of his voice was so extraordinary that no one aside from Moshe Rabbeinu was able to handle it. So everyone died. Hashem resurrected them. He said the second commandment, they died again. Hashem resurrected them, and then He told Moshe Rabbeinu, you go talk to him, we'll do whatever he says. We'll listen, we'll do, no problem. Why? Because if he continues talking, we'll die again. And death is painful. It's not like it looks in the movies, the guy goes to sleep and he dies. Doesn't look, it's not like that. That's just the movies. In reality, death is painful. Unless you're tzaddik. If you're tzaddik, it's like taking off your clothes and going to a different room. You take off your suit, put on pajamas. That's dying for tzaddik. Someone's not exactly a tzaddik, someone's not exactly a tzaddikah, death is painful. Anyone who wants to know a little more details, watch the Igeret Ramban. It's within the first 5 shiurim. We talked about Chibut HaKever. Nice section for anyone who doesn't have Yirat Shamayim. By the end of that first section, you're afraid of everything. Why? That's the reality. Death is not exactly pleasant. So Am Yisrael did not want to die a third time. You fast forward, Yechezkel goes and he sees there's hundreds of skeletons. No flesh, nothing. They called it dry bones. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu miraculously puts flesh back on these bones. But these bones and these now bodies don't have any life in them. And he says in the section, chapter 37, Yechezkel says, so I prophesied in chapter 37, verse 7. So I prophesied as I had been commanded. There was a sound as I was prophesying. Then behold, there was a noise, and the bones drew near, each bone to its matching bone. Then I looked, and behold, upon them were sinews, and flesh had come up, and skin had covered them over. But there was no spirit in them. Then he said to me, prophesy to the spirit, prophecy, O son of man, and say to the spirit, thus said the Lord HaShem, come from the four directions, O spirit, and blow into these slain people, that they may come to life. I prophesied as I had been commanded, and the spirit entered them, and they came to life. They stood upon their feet, a very, very great legion. So here we see mamash, a resurrection of the dead. One of the most, and the rest of the world found out about it, because it wasn't like one or two people, it was hundreds of people, and they all came back to town, and they told about what happened to them. They were witnesses of their own resurrection. So that's why there's no nation that believes in the Torah that says it didn't happen. Now, inside this section is a small little hint about what's going on today. Now, when you see some of these very disturbing videos of people in China and other places where they have the coronavirus and they're apparently not taken care of, people, the way they look normal. They don't look like, they don't have like any type of like abscesses coming out of their face or something, eyes bulging, any rash of any kind. They look normal. But suddenly the person walks, and it's as disturbing as can be. It looks like it's a movie, but then after you see 5-10 of them, you realize this just keeps coming. It cannot be all, this is not Hollywood. You see these people walking around, they just drop dead. So it's like a body, but there's like no soul in his body, he just drops dead. Now this, although this is not common, especially now that we know what's going on and so on, nonetheless it's happened, and it's still happening. In verse number 8, in this section about the dry bones, where it says, then I looked, and behold, upon them were sinews, and flesh had come up, and skin had covered them over, but there was no spirit in them. In the section where Ezekiel says there's a body, but there's no soul, you'll find the virus corona. In the word Vayikram, you have the letter Kuf. You count 9 spaces, and you get to the letter Vav. You count 9 more spaces, you get to the word Ruach, Veruach. You get the Rish, 9 more spaces. You get Vayomer, that's another Vav, 9 more spaces. You get the Nun, 9 more spaces, you get the Hey. So in the same place that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us a prophecy of something that happened in the past, He also tells us about something that's happening in the future. Now someone can say, the naysayers are going to say, yeah, but how come you couldn't tell before? Well, there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, you have to know what you're looking for. We didn't know if a corona existed until it came to being. Now, Kadosh Baruch Hu obviously knew, but He doesn't tell us this. One reason is because prophecy ceased to exist already since the time of the Bet HaMikdash. There's no more prophecy except for young children and drunk and crazy people. Sometimes they're given prophecy. So you'll see certain people, for example, in the world, sometimes you'll have little kids have strange dreams that are sometimes prophetic. Sometimes. Not always. Most of the times it's complete nonsense and imagination of the kid. But sometimes there are special kids throughout history that have been given dreams of certain things that are going to happen. Second thing is people that have all types of mental deficiencies, autistic kids and the like, are have different understandings of the world than us. They don't communicate to the world the same way we do. This, for example, one very famous autistic, he's not a boy anymore, he's already a young man, by the name of Daniel. In Eretz Yisrael, he's already been telling people things about the future, the present, and so on for at least 10 years. So, but prophecy does not come in a normal traditional way, and even for those people, it's not on a regular basis. In the past, prophecy was common ground. Prophecy, you had many prophets. We had in the history of Am Yisrael, we had almost 1.2 million prophets. But, so the first reason we don't know this beforehand is because we don't have prophecy. The second reason we don't have this is because HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not want to alter our free choice. So He doesn't want us to get to know certain things are going to happen, and therefore that's going to impact our judgment. He wants us to do tshuva because it's the right thing to do, not necessarily because we know that the world is going to end at a specific date, or the Mashiach is going to come at a specific date, and so on and so forth. There's already enough information without prophecy in a Torah that shows anyone that's paying attention that you should do tshuva. Now, some people think that they're religious enough and they don't have to do tshuva. That alone means you have to do more tshuva than everybody else. If you don't think you need to do tshuva, that means you need to do tshuva more than everybody else. Why? Because you think you're good. It's like someone that has corona but thinks he's healthy. Wants to be a doctor. So, now, what's the cure? What's the cure for this issue? Another prophet that we have by the name of Tzfanya. Tzfanya's prophecy is very short. It's a very short chapter. You're only talking about 3 chapters in the whole book. In the 3rd chapter, in the verse number 7, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, actually even starts at verse number 6. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I have eliminated nations. Their towers have become desolate. I have destroyed their streets without passerby. Their cities have become ruins without people. So there is no inhabitant. Meaning, if you go right now to China, there's many places in China right now, there's nobody in the streets. There's no cars, no people, there's no cats even. Nothing. Number 1 leading economy in the world is almost turned off. And other places around the world are following suit. I said, just fear me, accept Musal, so that her abode would not be terminated, despite all that I have ordained upon her. But instead they arose early and corrupted all their deeds. Here HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to us, the reason why I do all of this to the nations, I bring plagues on them, tsunamis on them, earthquakes on them. Why do I do all of it? Gemara Masechet Yevamot says, everything that happens in the world, it's only L'ma'an Am Yisrael. It's only for the sake of Am Yisrael. Meaning, this coronavirus, the tsunamis, the earthquakes, the panics, the market crash, everything is because of you. You that are watching, you that are listening, you that are not listening, but are Jews. It's all because of you. Why you? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to teach you musal. Learn from what they did and don't do it. What did the Chinese people do? What did the Iranian people do? What did the Italian people do? Let's list them. Okay, so first off, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has rules. He says, whether you're a Jew or a non-Jew, you have to have mercy for the creation. Why? Because they're all my creations. Jews, when they eat food, that has to be kosher. That means that the slaughter has to be in a humane way. You can't slaughter like the Arabs, where they just pretty much chop off the cow's head, and they don't care about how much it suffers on. And you see a kosher slaughter, it's not exactly the prettiest thing in the world, and it's not like the cow is having a good time or anything, though let's not mistake ourselves, but it's a humane thing to do. They do it in a certain humane way, or at least it's supposed to be. The Chinese, on the other hand, not only do they not slaughter their animals, but they eat many of their animals alive. They cook them alive. This is not humane. This is vicious. This is something that a human being should not even be able to tolerate. There was a video that someone sent me of the different markets they have in China where they buy food. You pretty much see there's literally living animals being cooked alive. Dogs, cats, bats, rats, doesn't make a difference. They eat anything. Now, a lot of people say, oh yeah, it's because they eat bats. No, it has nothing to do with the bats. They've been eating bats for centuries. It's not the bats. It's the fact of how they do it, how vicious they are. There are many videos and many examples of how they literally eat animals alive. This, whether you're a Jew or a non-Jew, is forbidden. Noahides are forbidden from eating animals while they're alive. You're not allowed to chop off the leg of a horse or a dog or some animal and let them hop on 3 while you had a nice steak. Not allowed to do such things. That's vicious. You're not supposed to be vicious. You want to eat him? No problem, eat him. But at least kill him first. There's no reason why you should suffer extra. That extra little bit of suffering, that's too much. That's a sin. Sin against creation. Second thing is, Baruch Hashem, I'm assuming none of you guys know about this, and I hope you remain ignorant about this, but this will be a chidush to most people. Unfortunately, the znut, because they have no value for life whatsoever, the Chinese, they have no value for life whatsoever, the amount of prostitution that is in China is beyond any other place in the world. And it's not because they have more people. It's simply because they have no value for human life, but a lot of value for money. So many of the people that travel to America and don't have a way to find themselves, they start off with prostitution. So many of the prostitutes that you have in all the cities all over America, Europe, and so on, many of them are from China. Why? Because they have no value for their body or for modesty or anything like that. They do it back home, they do it back here, especially if you want to pay them. So it's immorality. Immorality is forbidden for all nations. So when HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees that people are immoral and they waste seed and there are all types of prostitutions and so on, HaKadosh Baruch Hu hates this. Now, interestingly enough, the coronavirus was named Corona. The reason why it was called Corona is because the virus itself, under a microscope, looks like a crown. Crown of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one who invented this corona. It's not a biochemical weapon. HaKadosh Baruch Hu made this. But what's more, corona is also the medical name for the male member. So the male member is called a corona. The top part of the male member is called a corona. That's what it's called. When people are immoral and promiscuous, that male member is violated. Whether you're a Jew or a non-Jew, it's forbidden. Now, needless to say, it's forbidden for Am Yisrael. But unfortunately, today we have a generation of ignorant people, where most Jews today do not even know it's forbidden to be promiscuous, to be promiscuous with yourself or with somebody else. Most Jews don't know, and I'm talking about not most Jews are secular. I'm not even referring to secular people. They don't even know they're supposed to keep Shabbat. I'm talking about religious people. I have rabbis, avrichim, talmidei yeshiva, all calling me, sending me messages to no end. After they first discovered that you're not allowed to waste seed from one of my videos. HaShem yishmor v'yatzil. If you have to rely on somebody like me to learn about this mitzvah that the Shulchan Aruch calls the worst sin in the entire Torah. Although I love the merits, although it's fantastic that HaKadosh Baruch Hu for some reason decided to give me the merit of being the person that helps people do tshuva for this particular sin in the English language, it's a sad reality. It's not something to celebrate. It's a sad reality that you have an entire generation of religious people that don't have a clue of how much of a disaster wasting seed is, being immoral is. This immorality that starts in childhood, as soon as the kid hits puberty, if he doesn't know that this sin is mamash the Satan himself and doesn't get it under control, he will ruin his life little by little with no one ever noticing. Why? He'll develop desires that are not normal and not natural for a Jew or even a human being. If you notice, the desires that people have in our generation are not normal. Although homosexuality has always been, bestiality has always been, prostitution has always been, pedophilia has always been, all of this filth has always been. We have it even in the Tanakh. It's mentioned in Tanakh that bestiality exists. Nebuchadnezzar, Belshazzar, the Gemara, Masechet Hoshana, talks about all types of filthy people that were with animals and homosexuals and so on. But it was still relatively a minority of sick people. Now it's like every second guy you meet, every second girl you meet is like promiscuous or some type of mental sickness. And they don't even think it's sick. Why? They learn it from their parents, they learn it from their school, they learn it from TV, they learn it's publicly acceptable. I remember as a kid, HaShem Yishmor V'Yatzil, I didn't grow up religious. I remember watching shows on television where on TV, this was like Channel 9, like the one that's not cable. So it's supposed to be like, like the ones that's somewhat like contained. And you watch these shows where the guy tells his wife, "Oh, you want to do it?" In different words. And now I think about it 30-something years later, I said, HaShem Yishmor, this was already a 9, 8-year-old kid is already learning about this stuff between a man and a woman. He doesn't even know himself yet. And what happens with the show? Everybody's like, it's so funny. Oh, Marriage with Children. Wow, Al Bundy's so funny. What's so funny? He's teaching your kid about promiscuity, you moron. How come it's funny? Why? Because we become desensitized. We become desensitized. We don't realize it's bad. This is the only time we've had this in history. Never before. Where the average kid is already addicted to himself by the time he hits puberty. The average kid is looking for a wife on a weekly basis, and his parents say, Chazaku Baruch. Well, how many girlfriends you have, kid? How many girlfriends you have? No, tell your father. Like his father's proud of him that he has 18 girlfriends. He doesn't realize how far his genom is going to be. It's the fathers, not just the kids. Why? Every one of these girlfriends, you're not going to marry her, right? So aside from the obvious sin of nida, aside from the obvious sin of wasting seed, aside from that, you know what other sin you're forgetting about? Hurting a Bat Yisrael. Why? You're not going to marry her. You're not going to marry her. So the little tzadikah, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, she loves you. Why? You're the first one she's ever been with. She thought she's going to marry you. But then you say, no, you're not for me. It's not about you. It's about me. It's about you. It's about me. All the shtuyot guys put in their head. And guess what? HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, it's not about you. It's about me. It's genom. It's for you, not for me. It's for you. It's for you. It's not for me. Why? You hurt one of my daughters, you rasha. You treated one of my daughters as a putza, as a prostitute. It's not for you, it's for me. You heard about Israel? You know what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to do to a person that hurts about Israel? Imagine, you have a kid. How long did you work to have this kid? You finally found the right wife. You finally found the right husband. Now you have this kid. Baruch Hashem Yishtabach Shema, HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes a miracle. A miracle. Some putrid seed and some egg somehow connect. Yishtabach Shema, 9 months later there's a little baby. Now you can't sleep. For how long? Pretty much forever. Why? Because the kid needs to be up and you have to be up with the kid. Now you're changing diapers and pooping, schmooping, and all types of things. And now you're working a third job just to pay for this kid, to feed the kid and bathe the kid and put clothes on the kid, to make sure he has this and he has that and you have him toys. And you do everything to make sure this kid stays alive. You wake up in the middle of the night just to look at the kid just to see he's alive. Why? I don't know. It looks like he's not breathing. Looks like she's not breathing. Oh, breathing. Okay, I'm going back to sleep. Then, as soon as you fall asleep, you're back to up again. And you go and you do this. You do this. There's no sleep. There's no work. There's nothing. You have no brain until the kid's pretty much too old. You put everything you have into this kid, and some filthy pig touches your kid and violates her. Says, "No, it's not for you. It's me." She comes home to you crying, Shem Yishmo v'yatzil, Abba, I didn't tell you I had a boyfriend, and he dumped me after a week, but I did something I shouldn't have done. I'm pregnant. I'm violated. What normal father, what father would not want to take this kid and just make him into a shish kebab? How much did you slave after your kid? How much did you try, you must sacrifice of yourself to make sure this kid stays pure, and some filthy pig touched her and violated? And not only that, he broke her heart too. Now you think you feel more than HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has been waiting for this kid for 3,300 years. You touched him, you broke her heart, you'll have to fix it. Now you have a bad education, your father's telling you, oh, how many girlfriends do you have, kid? Like as if it's a good thing. Don't worry, there's punishment waiting for them also. But it's not going to absolve anybody from it. But this is the only generation this has become normal. Rashi, 900 years ago in France, pretty much today the filthiest place on earth. Today, znut is welcome and everywhere. 900 years ago was very different. Why? How do I know? Rashi lived in France. They asked him, what about the women over there? Do we have to be concerned about, when someone finds a shidduch from France, let's be concerned about whether they were with somebody? Because no, where we could already rely that even the goyot are virgins before they get married. Needless to say, the Jews. Rashi, in France, didn't have to worry about this. Here, you can't even not worry about it if you're in Yerushalayim sometimes. Needless to say, in Florida, New York, HaShem Yishmo v'yatzil, everywhere else, virginity has almost become like something like rare. They make fun of you for being a virgin today. Call you all types of names. Oh, you're this, you're a prude, you're this. Now, if you think this is just in a secular world, you're mistaken. I have a group of young kids tell me, listen, Rabbi, I don't know, you're kind of confusing me. I did a shiur 3-4 years ago in New York about Gama Brit. A bunch of young yeshiva boys came to the shiur. After the shiur, they stayed with me, I don't know, 3-4 o'clock in the morning asking questions. And they said, Rabbi, you're confusing us. I said, why? I said, I don't know, we have a rabbi that we asked him these questions, and he said to us, listen, if she's not Jewish, it's okay. You need to practice before you get married. Rabbi, ra, and then bai. But that's what we have today. Rabotai, is what we have today. We have people like this. Meaning you cannot trust people. You cannot trust people. You have to trust their actions. If their actions and their words are in accordance with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, no problem. But if they say things that are violating the Torah, doesn't matter what his title is. Doesn't matter what our title is. This is the only time in history you have a situation where people are so confused they don't even know who to listen to. You put on some shiur, you think it's a shiur, it ends up being something that makes you confused. So now you have a situation where around the world the promiscuity is rampant, either people with themselves or with other people. But what ends up happening is that people eventually become desensitized much earlier. I read a study that was done by a team of scientists about the pornography industry. Now don't worry, they don't show any pictures, Baruch HaShem. This is legitimate research. And the research says that one of the biggest poisons in the generation that we have right now is the epidemic called pornography. And the reason why is because it's very easy to get addicted to it. The whole internet was built based on pornography, by the way. Originally the internet started as a government project, but then it went into people's homes because it was all porno sites. there are somewhere in the neighborhood between 80 or 800 million websites full of pornography. It's everywhere. It's a complete disaster. But a lot of people don't realize the logistics behind it, what goes on behind pornography. One of the facts is the fact that people watch so much of it because it's free, that they become desensitized to things that are normal, meaning normal man and woman. So they become desensitized to it, so they want something more. So what's more? Now they want multiple people. If that, then eventually that's not enough, they want the whole dialogue to be abnormal. So they start giving you the number one most popular pornography that there is sold today is a dialogue based on incest. Meaning people are watching this, and in many cases learning about intimacy from a story that talks about something that's incestual, that's abnormal to any new human being. A guy with his mother, his sister, his brother, filthy, disgusting things. And if that's not enough, it's not enough. They continue watching it. Well, then they start moving on to homosexuality, and then eventually becomes bestiality. That's why right now in America, there's 1% of the population. Now 1% in Israel is not a lot of people. 1% in America is about 4 million people. Admit that they commit intimacy with animals on a regular basis. Talk about 4 million people admit in America that they commit intimacy with animals. This is where we live. And it's the ones that admit. HaShem Yachem, who knows how much don't admit. So I'm not trying to talk to you about taboo things for some type of clicks. I'm explaining to you that we're in a sick generation, and there's a reason for it. The Rabbi Nachman Breslev, Alav Shalom, in Lekutei Maharan, writes, the reason why Nebuchadnezzar, Belshazzar, all of these Reshaim that lived a few thousand years ago, it's mentioned that they were with animals. He says the reason why people get to that point is because of they fulfill every one of their desires, normal desires, to the point where it's no longer enjoyable. They have to go towards something more taboo. So they start expressing themselves in different, more provocative, filthy ways. Eventually that's not enough, and they keep doing more and more and more different things. Now, the prostitution world is one of the most critical places that allows all of this to happen, because a lot of people are not going to fulfill their filthy desires with their wife or with their husband. Who are they going to do with? Somebody from China that's looking to make a few $100 and doesn't care about her body, doesn't care about her morals, doesn't care about anything. And the reality is, Rabotai, when a person causes other people to sin, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says you've lost your right to live. Now, this promiscuity has led an entire generation of ignorant people that don't even understand the magnitude of the sin to become completely ignorant of what they're doing to society at large. Right now we have a situation where people are watching these filthy films, and in many cases, according to this study by these researchers, by these scientists, they say that many of the films are not even, people assume that they're permissible, meaning that the actors want to be there. Many times the actors don't want to do it. Many times it's rape. Many times when you're paying $5, $50, $500, whatever you're paying for one of these filthy movies, many times you're witnessing a rape. It's not even, she doesn't want to be in it. She's some nobody in the middle of nowhere that said yes to the wrong guy, and that's it. He's taping her. No one's ever going to know who she is after that. That is much of the pornography films in the world today. So what ends up happening is that when people watch pornography, not only are they making a sin against themselves and against HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but also against mankind. They are facilitating this type of rape, they're facilitating this type of behavior, they're facilitating the prostitution in the world. And many of these victims, HaShem Yachem, they're damaged for life. Even though they've made their own mistakes, they never thought this is going to happen to them. Now, what ends up happening, Rabotai, is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu at some point says, "Die, enough. Enough's enough." And he says, "I'm going to bring something that's going to scare everyone. Jews, non-Jews. He's going to scare the ones that are paying attention, the ones that are not paying attention. He's going to scare the young and the old." And he brings a plague to the world. He brings some type of major damage to the world. And he says, "Am Yisrael, you have to learn Musar from this. You see that they're dying like flies? You have a lesson to learn from this. Don't do what they do. They kill animals and eat them while they're still alive. Don't do that. Even if you're on vacation. They're promiscuous with their body and care less about human life. Don't do that. Even if you're on vacation, even if you're divorced, even if you're married, even if you're young, even if you're old, even if you're rich, even if you're not. Don't follow their actions. You're not them. Whether you like it or not, you will never be a goy if you're born a Jew. If you converted to Judaism, once you become a Jew, you're going to stay a Jew and you'll be judged as a Jew. That doesn't mean that you'll go to Gan Eden, like some people think. Just because you're a Jew, you're going to Gan Eden. That's daydreams. That's hallucinations. Gemara Masechet Sanhedrin has a whole 11, 12 dapim about it. About all the different types of people that do not go to Gan Eden. Anyone who wants to know a little bit of the details, go read Sha'ar HaGemul. Sha'ar HaGemul, the Ramban writes in detail of certain people do not go to Gan Eden. And how it would not make sense for Gehenom to be short, an instant. Like some people think, no, it's maximum 12 months. Maximum 12 months. If it's maximum 12 months, we should all become sinners. Why? Maximum you get 12 months. Even murder in this world is longer than 12 months. So that means that anyone that's a criminal, whether he's a Mechalel Shabbat or he's a murderer, is eventually going to be in the same place as Moshe Rabbeinu after 12 months maximum. We've turned Hashem into a Rasha, Hashem Yilachem. He's judging everyone the same way. Mechalel Shabbat, murderer, rapist, pedophile, thief, everybody goes 12 months, that's it, finished. The Ramban says, you have to understand, this is against the Torah, this is heresy. Anyone that says the maximum sentence in Gehenom is 12 months, a heretic, 100%. You cannot count them in minyan, the Ramban says. Why? It cannot be that all sinners are punished the same way.
Who made up this?
I'm talking right now, one second. It cannot be that everyone is punished the same way. It's not possible. And that's why the Gemara in many places says that there are sinners that go to Gehenom for 12 months, but there are sinners that go to Gehenom till eternity, until the soul is destroyed, which could be millions of years. Now, I spoke to a very famous speaker last week who said some foolish things about Gehenom, hoping that he would say something different during a phone call. And Baruch Hashem, he did. The problem is, I realized the whole agenda here, and I'm not really sure if I got the news that I wanted. Now, at one point in his lecture, he says that Gehenom, what people think it's fire. It's not fire. It's not fire. What do you think that Gehenom is forever? It's not forever. Now, both of these statements make him a heretic. Now, other than what he just said, everything else that I've heard of this person was pretty good. I don't exactly watch shurim, but again, people have sent me shurim, asked me questions about certain things he said. It's pretty good. But once you just said that Gehenom is not forever, even though the Torah says it is, once you said that Gehenom is not fire, even though there's 1.5 million places that says it is fire, that's heresy. That's changing the Torah. It's changing Divrei Chazal. To anyone that wants to know Torah proofs of how Gehenom being eternal and so on and so forth, you can see Parashat Korach. Where do you think Korach went? To Taj Mahal? Where do you think Korach went? It says Gehenom, Sheol in Parashat Korach twice. Gehenom being eternal, you go to the book of Isaiah, last verse. He says certain people go to Gehenom for eternity. Outright it says it. It's not like a parable. There's many places in the Torah that it says so. Anyone that says otherwise is a mistake. Gemara Masechet Rosh Hashanah, page 16b, 17a. In both places says there's a Gehenom that's 12 months, Gehenom is eternity, meaning it's either this or it can be much longer. So you cannot say it's only 1 year, you cannot say it's not fire. And then you can see many Chachamim talk about fire. The Gemara says there's different types of fire, there's blue fire, there's green fire, and so on and so forth. So finally I got this guy on the phone, and I wanted to find out, why did he say what he said? When I spoke to him, I said, listen, you're saying that it's not fire. I can give you probably 1,000 sources of sages that say it's fire. And there's different types of fire, and the Gemara says there's 7 types of fire. He goes, yeah, but it's not fire like here. I said, obviously it's not fire like here. The Gemara in Brachot says it's not fire like this. It's 60 times worse, and that's the lowest fire over there is 60 times worse than the highest fire over here. Obviously it's not the same one, but it's still fire. He goes, yeah, but it's not really a fire, it's a agent that Hashem uses. What is saying agent? Agent is like saying, it's not a hammer, it's a tool. Yeah, obviously a hammer is a tool, but why would you call it a tool if you could just say it's a hammer and be more precise? And then when I said, okay, what about the million, the Gehinnom can last forever? You said it's not forever. He goes, well, it's not really forever. I said, do you mean it's not really forever, that it's maximum 1 year? Like everybody gets 1 year? He goes, no, it could be much longer than that. I said, well, yeah, it could be 1,000,000 years. He goes, yeah, of course it could be 1,000,000 years. So I said, so why did you say it's not forever? He goes, because 1,000,000 years is not forever. And that's when I got the point. I mean, it took me actually, after the conversation ended, that's when I really got the point. And what it is that even the ones that say the truth are so uncomfortable with it that they minimize it. Why? Because if I tell you it's fire, scary. If I tell you it's an agent, that sounds much nicer. If I tell you forever, oh, I get depressed. Why? Maybe I'm going to go forever. But if I tell you it's not forever, I'm not really telling you it could be 100 million years. It's not forever. Now, to every normal human being, if I say it's 1,000,000 years, 100 million years, you say it might as well be forever. But if I say it's not forever, it's technically not a lie. But that's what the Ramban calls Naval Birshut Torah. Despicable in the name of the Torah. Distorting the truth in order to appease people. It's not forever. You're right, it's not forever, but it's 1,000,000 years, it's 100 million years, it could be 1,000 years. Yeah, of course it could be. But they didn't ask me. Oh, so therefore I'm not going to tell them. So you're going to let them assume themselves that it's not forever. Assume that it's maximum a year. You just pretty much ruin their own judgment, their own clarity of the Torah. Hence the reason why we have a generation of people that do not know the truth unless you look for it yourself. Unless you look for yourself, unless you start opening the books yourself. Stop asking me for sources, start opening books yourself. People every day send me 300, 400, 500 questions a day. Can you give me a source for this? Give me a source for this? Give me a source for this? I don't have a problem, but why don't you look for yourself first? Go on Google, go to the Bet Midrash, go open some books, try at least. Don't make me Google. All day, source for this, source for that, source for this. What? You're looking for me not to have one? Is that what you're looking for? I said something in a lecture and you're looking for the one thing I don't have a source for, so therefore you cancel out the entire shiur? If that's what you're looking for, why even bother asking? Just become a rasha and leave me alone. At least I'll help somebody that doesn't want to be a rasha. But that's the reality, Rabotai. Sometimes the Yetzer Hara plays a trick on us. He tells, no, ask him for a source, see what happens. And I'm not available. I'm in, I don't know, Montreal or something. I'm in some place in the world. I can't answer the text. See? He's not answering. He's not answering. He probably doesn't have one. He doesn't have a source. See? Told you he's a liar. See? Let's listen to Menace. Rabotai, stop fooling ourselves. Stop fooling ourselves. That's what Amalek wants us to do. Now, right now, we have a prophecy. All of these dead bodies we see from the prophet Yechezkel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told us he's eliminating all of these nations in order for us to accept Musar, in order for us to learn from it. What does he want us to learn? Just fear me, he says. Accept the Musar. So that her abodes, the damage that I caused on her, would not be terminated despite all that I've ordained upon her. He says, don't be fools. Don't just look at coronavirus. market crash and everything that's happening in the world and say, nah, it's going to go away. It's going to be okay. I'm being optimistic. Let's be optimistic. Why are you so negative? It's okay, stay. Why being so negative, Rabbi? Why being so negative? Let's be optimistic. Optimism, Rabotai, is for a time when we have the permission to be optimistic. Right now, we have to be realistic. Reality is that we have to do tshuva. Every single one of us, with no exception, starting with me. Everyone has to do tshuva. Everyone has to do something. If you're already in the frum world, then get to the point where you realize that there are other people that are not frum. Start caring about them. Too many frum people care less about the non-frum people. No, I'm okay, so what's the difference? Now my family's okay, everybody's keeping Shabbat. Oh, so you're waiting to have somebody in your family who's not keeping Shabbat, you're going to start caring? There are other people in the nation. They're not so frum. You know a few things, start teaching, start doing something. Start doing something to help the people that don't know. This is not one of those times where people need to be humble. Oh, I don't know how to speak, I'm not a good speaker. Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't a good speaker either. You know Parashat Shavua? That's already more than 90% of the nation. Start sharing that knowledge with a local community. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. Start teaching, start doing something. You can't teach, can't speak at all? Okay, what do you do all day? You make money? Okay, so use your money to do Kiruv. If you're a frum person, you know the truth. You have to realize you are more responsible for the secular person than the secular person is responsible for you. Why? Because you know the truth. They don't. They're living a lie. That's what the Gemara Masechet Shabbat says, at the time of the Bet Mikdash. HaKadosh Baruch Hu originally was going to save the righteous people, save the frum people, religious people. He told one of the Malachim, go put a taf on their head. Why? They followed Torah from Aleph at Taf. Gemara Masechet Shabbat 55. Why? Because those people, they follow the entire Torah. Malach HaMavet comes and says, no, Hashem, right, there's one mitzvah they missed. What mitzvah? They missed the mitzvah of Ocheach Tocheach et Amitecha. They missed the mitzvah of rebuking their brother. They knew the truth and their brothers didn't know the truth. They knew to keep Shabbat, their brothers didn't know about keeping Shabbat. So Hashem tried to fight for the nation, tried to fight for the religious people. He said, yeah, but this generation was so horrible, even if all the religious people came to all the secular people, say, hey, Mr. Zionist, hey, Mr. Secular, hey, Mr. Mustafa, you think you're Mustafa? Hey, stop, you have to do tshuva. They wouldn't have listened. Malach HaMavet, Hashem Yishmor V'Yatzil, says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he says, Hashem, you know it, but they didn't know. You know that they wouldn't have listened, but they didn't know. Therefore, they were still obligated to go help each and every single person, even if they got the door shut in their face. This means, Rabotai, if you know Aleph Bet, you know Parashat Shavua, you know a little bit of Gemara, you know a little bit of Musar, you have to start helping people, either with money or with your mouth. You have neither, then you have time. Okay, take some flyers, give them out to people. You have to do something. Why? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is closing the store. You don't want to be one of those people that says, no, I was frum, my family's frum, everybody's okay. Everybody's not okay. Kol Yisrael Aravim Zeh Lazeh. Everybody's responsible for each other. Now what about the rest, other people? Then you have the secular people. Secular people are completely on left field. Some of them are lefty liberals, they think that homosexuality is a blessing. Some of them think that Zionism is a good thing, because they don't realize that Herzl was really a Christian. They don't realize that many of the founders of Zionism wanted to kill Jews more than the Christians do. They don't realize this stuff because they don't teach this stuff in school. They have streets in Eretz Yisrael named after anti-Semitic people. There's no more anti-Semitic people than the Zionists, especially the original founders. You think that Avigdor and Benny Gantz are the first anti-Semitic people? They're just the most current ones that are blunt about it. That they say that if they were elected, the first thing they would do is attack the Torah, close all the yeshivot, all funding, all kollels, all everything. First thing they would do, like as if we have no problem, as if there's no rockets being shot at Eretz Yisrael every other day by the Arabs, as if there's no terrorists, as if there's no financial crisis, as if there's no problems. The only problem is the Bachurim that are learning in yeshiva. That's the only problem we have. And what defense do we have here in America? We can't even hold our own here in America or in Europe. The yeshivot over here are under attack by the governments. Why? We're not defending it. We're not defending it. If we were defending it, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wouldn't bring the decrees that we have. All types of crazy things are being done in yeshivot today. Hashem Yishmor V'Yatzil. Every other day is a new story of some poor kid that was taken advantage of by some manis or some other guy. I spoke to a crazy Rosh Yeshiva a few months ago about the kids in the school. I told him, some of the things that you're saying is not exactly appropriate. It's confusing the kids, because most of the kids, they come from they have a bad past, or they have damaged history. I said, no, I know these kids. Nothing damaged. He goes, no, but most yeshiva kids, they're damaged. I said, why are they damaged? Because because most of these kids, there's probably no kid that hasn't been raped. I looked at the phone for a few. I said, excuse me? What do you mean there's no kid that hasn't been raped? He goes, yeah, because most of these kids, there's something wrong with them, so it's probably because of that. I said, if what you're saying is true, we should close all the yeshivot. Who says such a thing? Rosh Yeshiva in New York? Baruch Hashem, it's not a big yeshiva. It's got 30, 40 kids. Bezat Hashem, it'll be 0 soon. But the whole reality is that it's become acceptable. Like, oh yeah, another kid is molested. Big deal. We've become Chinese. No value for human life. After the story last week, my wife tells me, listen, either you open a yeshiva or the kids are never going to school. Either you you open a yeshiva, they're never going to school. Not here, not Eretz, nowhere. Can't trust anyone. What kind of people are we? This is what we have? We've become like the Christians, the Catholics? This epidemic, filth? Every yeshiva should make this a big deal. First and foremost, instead of expanding the buildings and having another fundraiser for another building and another this and another that, take $100,000, put a camera in every single room in the yeshiva. Then pay an employee to watch those cameras all year. Then on top of it, go to the printer and print big posters, put on every wall, all over the school for the kids to read. If anyone touches you, look at the camera, look at the watch, tell us where it was, and we'll catch the guy. It won't continue for 3 years. At least give the kids a chance to fight. Stuff is going on for years. What's wrong with us? This is Judaism? Now, if the frum world doesn't care enough about itself, then you're going to say, okay, let's rely on the Baal Tshuva world, right? Unfortunately, the Baal Tshuva world has its own problems too. What's the problems? Problem is, we start off hot, learn about Gog Magog, learned about Mashiach, learned about, end of days, got hot, okay, I'm going to keep Shabbat. And stop learning. All he knows is Gog Magog, Mashiach, and Shabbat, a little bit about it. That's it. Nothing else. Doesn't know about Kashrut, doesn't know what mitzvah we have tomorrow. Tomorrow, there's a holiday, he doesn't know what mitzvah we have. We have to fast tomorrow, Rabbi. How long are you religious for? 5 years. You still don't know if you have to fast tomorrow? Were you pregnant? You're nursing? If you're pregnant or you're nursing, buddy, then you don't have to fast. Usually guys don't nurse or are pregnant. They just look like they are. You don't know you have to fast? 5 years you're religious? We don't learn. The Baalei Tshuva are a joke. They don't learn. You tell them, why don't you read some Parashat Shavua? It's Shtay Mikach HaTargum. I don't have time, Rabbi. What do you have time for? Oh, it's Shabbat. I can't wait for Shabbat. What do you do on Shabbat? I sleep all day. I sleep all day on Shabbat. A cow sleeps all day also on Shabbat. It's not going to Gan Eden. If you're not going to learn, you're going to be an embarrassment to yourself. You cannot be a Baal Tshuva if you're not going to learn Torah, Rabotai. If you don't know halachot Shabbat, you don't know how to keep Shabbat. If you don't know halachot of Purim, you don't know how to keep Purim. What do you think? The costume is the mitzvah? Yeah, Rabbi, I have a new costume. I'm going to be a doctor. Yeah, what about how much money you spend on a costume? $100. How much money did you give for the matanot le'evyonim, the gift for the dead? $20. Oh, so the actual mitzvah of Purim, of giving gifts to the poor, you spent $20. But the rabbinical minhag of putting a costume, $100. You're a tzaddik, you tzaddik. No, I don't have that much money. I spent it on the costume. Well, return the costume then. Why? You need to feed poor people. We're not Chinese. We're Jews. We have to care about people. Rabotai, it's funny, but it's sad. If you have a Jew that doesn't know the mitzvot of Purim, he's going to spend more money on the holiday, on the costume, on his own meal. But his neighbor that doesn't have rent to pay cares less about him. Cares less about him. He thinks he's fulfilling the mitzvah of giving matanot le'evyonim because when he comes out of shul, there's some homeless guy asking for money because he knows it's the one day of the year that people gives money, so he gives him $1 bill. He thinks it's a mitzvah. He makes $100,000 a year, but he thinks it's a mitzvah to give the guy $1. You cannot be cheap when it comes to poor people. Cannot be cheap when it comes to Torah, Rabotai. You're not allowed to be cheap. Why? HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you the whole 100% just for you to give maaser. Just for you to give these mitzvot. The whole 100% is for these mitzvot. The whole thing. Briefly, you have simple mitzvot for Purim. Tomorrow morning, you have to fast. If you're healthy, you have to fast. If you're pregnant, or you're nursing, or Hashem Yachem, you just had an abortion, or you are sick of some kind, then this is an easy fast. You don't have to fast. But don't pretend like you're sick. Kadosh Baruch Hu knows you if you're sick. Don't tell me, Rabbi, I'm sick, I'm not going to fast. I don't care. I'm not God. I don't care if you fast or not. You have to be honest with yourself. You're healthy, you have to fast tomorrow. Starts in the morning, and it ends a little bit after the Megillah starts, which pretty much means it ends for most normal people after the Megillah is over, because you can't eat while you're listening to the Megillah. You're not a child. Don't bring food with you while you're hearing the Megillah. No one wants to listen to you chew. Don't bring beastly and bamba to the Megillah. It's not that bad. It's not that long. Hashem Yishmo. All of us need a diet anyway. People are bringing food to the Megillah they haven't eaten in 3 weeks. See the guy with the boss, the beastly, Mordechai and Haman, and they eat. No, come on, no. Okay, wait till the Megillah is over, then eat your beastly and bamba. It's another half hour, big deal. And please, Rabotai, don't bring your kids. Don't bring your kids to make noise in the Bet Midrash and the Bet Knesset with their beastly and bamba. Why? Because if you go and hear the Megillah and you miss the word, you have to start the whole thing over. If you go hear the Megillah and there's a talker, you can't continue. You have to stop until he talks and then continue. Why? Because if anybody misses one word, that's it. He didn't fulfill the mitzvah. It's not like Kriyat Torah where you listen, everybody talks like it's not a big deal. It's a big deal anyway. But needless to say, with the Megillah, if you missed one word, you didn't hear it, you didn't fulfill the mitzvah. You just wasted your time. So do everyone a favor. Don't bring your own noise to the place. Don't bring your own noise. If it's you or if it's your kids, don't bring it. Stay home. Now, women and men have to listen to the Megillah. If you're married, then obviously, if you have kids, you're married, you have to take turns, then obviously take turns. You have to take turns. But both men and women have to fast. Both men and women have to hear the Megillah. Both men and women have to fulfill the mitzvah of machatzit shekel, which is about 1/3 of an ounce of silver, which ends up being about $6. Then on top of it, you have to do matanot le'evyonim, which is food for the poor, or in essence, this is usually given in money. And then you have to do the third mitzvah, which is mishloach manot. Mishloach manot, you have to give to 2 people, your wife has to give to 2 people. You give to 2 guys, she gives to 2 girls. Don't give it to girls if you're a guy. This is not a time to hook up. This is not a time to become friends with girls. Guys give to guys, girls give to girls. Now, what do you give them? You give them something that could be the equivalent of a meal. So it has to be mezonot, or bread, and a drink. You want to put some candy in it too, you want to put some games in there too, but make sure there's mezonot and there's a drink in there so it could be a meal. But because of everything that's happening in the world, and no one trusts anyone, rightly so, don't give anyone open stuff. Like, don't make anyone a sandwich. Buy something from the store that's kosher and is still in wrappings, and give it to them. Meaning, you can make it a nice bag. You can put some toys in there also, and some candy, and maybe some money if you want, whatever you want. But the food has to be a closed can, or closed, what is it called? A carton of something, a bottle. And the food should be in some type of bag, closed. Don't give them anything open, because they're not going to eat it. Then it's not really, you didn't fulfill the mitzvah. Guys to 2 people, girls to 2 people. Matanot le'evyonim, also it's money. Now, for anyone who doesn't know any poor people, you could just donate on our campaigns. We have Baruch Hashem, plenty of poor people that we know in Eretz Yisrael, that also people that have Yirat Shamayim, that we donate to them every year. We donate to them even during the other times of the year, but we take this opportunity to raise some money to donate to some good people in Eretz Yisrael that we know not only are people that are in need, but also people that are close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and it's very, very good to have people like that pray for you. So you can fulfill both mitzvot of machatzit shekel and the mitzvah of matanot le'evyonim from the campaign. Now, as far as machatzit shekel, like I said, it's $7 or $6 plus whatever. I think there's like some fee. I think it's like $7 per person. So if you have 5 people in your house, it's $35. If you're pregnant, then it's you and the baby. Even though the baby's not walking around yet, it's still considered 2 people. If you know you have triplets in there, it's 4 people. If there's nobody, then nobody. It's just you. But you have this is per person. That's machatzit shekel. If it's the matanot le'evyonim, the feeding the poor, this is a mitzvah you should be generous with, meaning as much as possible. It could be as little as a puta. It could be $1. But if you want Hashem to give you $1 also, then you give $1. You want HaKadosh Baruch Hu to be generous with you, you have to be generous with people that need. That's generally how it works. If you're not generous with the people that are in need, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not going to be generous with you. Now, it's important for you to give it to people that, first and foremost, if you have somebody in your house, a brother, a sister, a father, a mother that are in desperate need, you have to feed your own family first. But if Baruch Hashem, you don't know anybody that is in need, then the next step is to go help people that are religious, close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you don't know that either, then you feed people, just anybody that comes for your help. Anyone that comes to you, you should give them. Even if you already gave 2 presents, you already gave money, and somebody comes to you in the Beit Knesset, you should give them any money anyway. This is a time that you should be very generous. Anyone that gives a hand to you, you should give them something. Why? Because that's what you're supposed to do. That's Am Yisrael. If you don't have to give, you don't have to give. HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows if you have, you don't have. But the point is, Rabotai, is that these basic level mitzvot is the real Purim. It's not the costumes. It's not the costumes. The costumes are minag. It's cute. You want to have a good time, no problem. Now, last thing is I'm going to say in regards to the drinking. When it comes to drinking, you're allowed to drink on Purim, but not to the point where you're falling over yourself and you become some big chilul Hashem. Like, you're allowed to have a couple of drinks, no problem, have a good time, but it's not supposed to be the point where you're slurring your words and you have no idea who's right, who's left. More importantly, do not go to synagogue if you're drunk. You're not allowed to go to synagogue if you're drunk. You're not allowed to go to synagogue even if you're buzzed. So if you're going to drink and you're going to get a little tipsy, go to sleep. That's tomorrow. That's not tomorrow, it's the following day, that's Tuesday. Go to sleep, wake up in the afternoon, and then go to mincha at that time. Don't go to Beit Knesset drunk. Don't go to Beit Knesset with the drink in your hand. It's not a bar. Some people go to the Beit Knesset and they think it's a bar. Why? Because there's some Beit Knesset that are really bars. They have all these drinks on Shabbat. The guys, instead of going open the Torah, they open the bar, take all the arak out. In the middle of the Baal Koreh is reading from the Torah. This is not a place that's a good place to go to. Go to a serious place. If you can't find a serious place, then I don't know what to tell you. You have to find one. You have to find one. But the point is, Rabotai, is that's Purim. Now, have a meal during the afternoon. It's a big mitzvah to have a meal during the afternoon on Tuesday. It should be with meat and wine on Tuesday, because meat and wine, the Gemara says, is a way that the person really truly has joy. If you cannot afford meat, then get chicken, obviously kosher. You can't afford chicken, you can't afford meat, then whatever you could afford. I don't think anyone, Baruch HaShem, is struggling to that extent, but if anybody is, please let us know. We'll try to help as well. But the point is that it's a time to have a nice meal for you to have with your family. And lastly, don't fight. Don't fight, don't argue. This is not the time for you to express your opinion that everyone doesn't like. You know, it's a time to enjoy, it's a time to have a good time with the family, with the kids, with the wife, with the husband. Time to have a good time. That's really what all it is. Not a time to get in fights. So if you know that every time you get together with a certain family member you're fighting, don't go. There's no obligation to go anywhere. The obligation is to do the mitzvah of actually having the meal, giving the presents, being with the family, peace. If you know you're going to go to your brother's house, and every time you go to your brother's house, or your mother's house, or your sister's house, or your friend's house, you get into a fight, don't go. Don't go. There's no point of going if you're going to get into a fight. Some people go, no, but it's my mom. Yeah, but every time you go there, you get into a fight with somebody. Yeah, but it's my mom. Okay, it could be whoever. It could be Mashiach. If you're going to get into a fight with them, don't go. Why? There's no mitzvah to get into a fight. A lot of times people make these rules for themselves and force themselves to go to places. Now, sometimes it's because we are weak ourselves. Sometimes we judge people too harshly. And that's one of the other flaws that we have in the Baal Tshuva world and also in the Frum world together. We share this weakness. We judge people too harshly. You know, we judge ourselves too leniently, and we judge other people too harshly. You know, they make a sin, Karet, Amalek, you know, he's the worst person on earth, everything. We violate Shabbat. No, I forgot. What forgot? You just lit the candles. How come you forgot and he's doing it on purpose? So you have to be a little bit more reasonable with people. Don't judge people so harshly, even if they make a mistake. Especially during times like this. A lot of people get together during times like this. Their friends come over, families come over. People make mistakes. People say stupid things. People say funny things that are not really so funny. All types of things. Don't judge them so harshly. Maybe they have a drink in them. Maybe they just thought you got the joke. Don't judge them so harshly. Don't rip their heads off. Wait for the next day. Maybe they'll be kosher then. But the reality is, Rabotai, don't fight. Don't fight. It defeats the whole point. Because that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to learn. He wants us to learn Musar from all of the other people that are making mistakes, that are parts of the nation that He's given them coronavirus. They're fighting with each other. They're promiscuous with each other. They're eating everything that moves and everything that doesn't move. They're going against HaShem by worshiping idols. They're going against HaShem by worshiping money. They're doing all the things that we as a nation are forbidden to do. And if we want truly a cure, the cure starts with the person you see in the mirror. That's where the cure starts. If you do tshuva, you work on yourself, I promise you, Torah promised you, not me. Torah promised you, nothing can hurt you. Not corona, not its brother. But if we're going to lie to ourselves, we're already sick. We're sicker than corona. A person that lies to themselves is sicker than corona. They're living a lie. But if you're serious about Torah, you're going to start learning, you're going to start doing, and Be'ezrat Hashem make this Purim a real holiday that brought us miracles over 2,000 years ago, and it's going to bring us miracles right now that the whole world can enjoy. Baruch Adonai Leolam, Amen ve'amen. Oh, a side note, no shiur on Tuesday. I'm going to be with my family, and Wednesday is debatable. We're not really sure yet. But just pay attention to our website, Facebook, WhatsApp, all the groups that we're in, if we're going to have shiur on Wednesday. But definitely no shiur on Tuesday. Enjoy the holiday, guys, and B'ezrat Hashem lefuah shlema. Anyone that wants Megillot, come with me to the car, and also the cards. I'll give you all the Megillot.